is going to be a pretty standard weekend recap. And yeah, Jake, the White Sox have lost 20 games in a row.
Which isn't good. We often talk about making sure the information we're giving to the audience is accessible, not getting too deep into the baseball stuff. But I hope everyone kind of comprehends 20 games in a row, not winning them is pretty bad. And over this weekend, the White Sox went to Minnesota, where the Minnesota Twins just took 3 easy, simple wins, put them in the pocket, move on forward. Hardly a sweat was had. That losing streak is now up to 20 games. The modern record is held by the 1961 Phillies, who lost 23 games in a row. I have to say, Jordan, did you know that? Because there has been a lot of conversation about whether this White Sox team will live on in infamy forever, whether for decades we will dunk on these fools for their lack of success. And I got to say, I did not know that those Phillies had lost 23 in a row, so maybe the White Sox will get out clean.
Yeah, but again, generally we are talking about, the total package of terribleness. And even though I don't know what the longest losing streak for either the 1962 Mets or the 2003 Tigers was, but the fact that the White Sox have now, once you reach 20, right? I mean, think about it, right? We just saw the Phillies have their longest losing streak of the season, which was 6. There are a couple other teams that have only lost 3, 4, 5 games at a time. And, you get swept once, that's 3 games, right? You get mopped, it's 4 games. That you're not feeling good, right? You get swept 2 times in a row. 6 is really the number where it's okay, now we're really feeling bad, right? You don't win a game over the course of a week or nearly a week and you're not feeling bad. But we've talked plenty about the White Sox being on this horrific pace, and this was really now the thing that was kind of left on. I mean, besides the final loss total, but it started to become clear. Oh, wait a minute. A streak is a streak. If you sprinkle in a win a week, people really aren't going to talk about you as much. But now it's okay, we actually have to probably still lead the show with you, especially because they were the only team this weekend that got swept. And I believe it was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th consecutive sweep or mop that has happened to the White Sox. So here they go again. And we just kind of wanted to reset. Listen, we talked about it plenty. You talked about Pedro Grifol on Friday. But I think we should zoom out a little bit more. I want to try and at least conjure up a version of this moving forward, not this season, where it's White Sox fans don't feel like they're doomed forever. But I think before we do that, we still have to talk about where they're at right now.
On July 10th, the White Sox played a doubleheader against the Minnesota Twins. They won game 1 of that doubleheader. Eric Fetty was really good. He's not on the team anymore. Luis Robert Jr. went yard, and Chicago won 3-1. That gave them their 6th win in the last 12 games. 500 over the last
hot.
12.
Yeah.
Hot Sox, baby. Is this going to turn around? Are they going to buy at the deadline? Asked nobody. Still, the vibes were digestible at the very least.
They were going to trade Garrett Crochet for Tanner Scott. They were gonna reinforce the bullpen. They were gonna go out and get Randy to pair with Luis Robert. That's what it felt like after they had won 6 games over the course of 2 weeks. We were all right, listen, this is still the worst team in baseball. Now remember, this is another good way to put it. That win got them to 27-67. Still by far the worst record in baseball. It was this is still clearly the worst team. Things are horrible. We're 40 games under and we're hot, right? That's kind of what that felt. Now we go. Let's get this to 30 games under, right? If we can really get on fire, maybe we get this to 20 games under. That's not what happened.
Then they lost 20 in a row. And so many games. The offense has been predictably abysmal. Martin Maldonado over that stretch, 1 for 5, baby. He has the highest WRC plus because he has 1 home run and I guess 5 plate appearances. Andrew Benintendi has been sneaky competent over this 20-game stretch. He is the only everyday player still in the Chicago White Sox who's been an above average hitter over this 20-game losing streak. Okay. Hats off to him. He had been the single worst player in the world for most of the season. And the irony that he has been just on relative fuego while the White Sox are bumbling the chili away gives me quite a bit of joy. However, everyone else is below average. Just so everyone knows, an average WRC plus is 100. If you see a plus at the end of any stat, it is 100 is always average. Okay, anything above or below that should give you a good sense for how everyone's doing. I'm just going to read off some quick offensive numbers, if you don't mind. George Shusterman, Andrew Vaughn, 74 WRC plus. Brooks Baldwin, who just got called up, is at 68. Nicky Lopez is at 64. Luis Robert at 58. Miguel Vargas, who they traded for, is at 20. Corey Lee, the everyday catcher, is at 14. Lenin Sosa is at -7, and Gavin Sheets is at -8. Okay,
this is during the streak. To be clear,